Good guys, welcome back to another video. The aim of this video is to simplify the idea that Landon from Basement Bodybuilding has brought to the YouTube fitness scene. That idea of progressive overload anxiety. Now, if you've never heard of progressive overload anxiety or Landon from Basement Bodybuilding, then don't worry, this video will still be beneficial. I want to simplify what progressive overload anxiety is for the layman's lifter. And the reason I'm making this video is because I experienced a situation where I've been subscribed to Landon since 2022. I'm a huge fan. I love his videos. Landon, if you're watching, you're the flipping man. I love your videos. But when I was watching his videos in 2022 and 2023, they just went scoop straight over my head. I didn't really understand the advice, the theories, and what he was saying because I wasn't at that stage yet. I was still a very early intermediate. Now that I'm more mid-intermediate, more advanced, I'm really starting to understand what he's saying and the advice he gives, and it's actually applying to me now. And so I just thought back on all those times where I watched one of his videos and I didn't understand it, but I really wish I did because it would have been really helpful. And so the reason I'm making this video is to simplify his idea of progressive overload anxiety for that early intermediate stage lifter, for that beginner lifter, for that guy who, if he was to watch Landon's video right now, the ideas and concepts might be a bit too nuanced and detailed. It might go over the top of his head. And so I want to just simplify it so that this beginner lifter can really understand this absolutely amazing topic and idea of progressive overload anxiety. And if you've never heard of it, you're in for one hell of a treat. This will really revolutionize the way you think and view progressive overload when it comes to building muscle and getting more jacked. Because that's what you're here for, isn't it? You want to build more muscle, you want to get more jacked, you want to get more hose. So you want to build muscle, but you probably have progressive overload anxiety. So let us dive into what this is. This really is just a video for younger me. 2022 Omar, this is a video I wish somebody made. So here I am making it for the not so advanced people. I'm trying to make this video, as I like to call it, and excuse the language, I'm trying to make this video retard proof. So let's get straight into it. Any ideas or comments or anything you can add to this video, anything I missed out, let me know down below. Landon, if you're watching, you're the man. I love the content. I've been a fan for ages. And yeah, let's get into it for now, the third time. What is progressive overload anxiety? Progressive overload anxiety is a lifter's over-obsession with progressive overload to the point where they sacrifice important muscle building principles. This stems from a misunderstanding of what progressive overload actually is and how to use it. Once a lifter understands what progressive overload is, and of course I'll explain that in this video, they will stop stressing when they're not able to add an extra rep from last week, for example, which is a very common occurrence. They will also stop piling on tons of weight recklessly because they wrongfully think that more weight equals more muscle. All of this will ultimately lead to a much smoother and funner muscle building experience. We first need to understand what progressive overload is. So progressive overload, first and foremost, doesn't build muscle. Progressive overload does not build muscle. Progressive overload is a sign that muscle has been built. Progressive overload is a measuring tool. In the same way that your scales are a measuring tool for your body weight, a ruler is a measuring tool for centimeters, progressive overload is a measure that muscle has been built. It confirms that new muscle has been built. Let me give an example. Let's say on week 1, I go to the gym and I lift 100 kilos for 9 reps. And then sometime in the future, I'm able to lift 100 kilos for 10 reps. Loads of people would see that as progressive overload, right? You know, you got 9 reps one time, you got 10 reps another time. No, progressive overload is a sign that muscle has been built because what's happened for me to be able to lift that 10th rep? Did I just wake up and decide, oh, I want to get 10 this week? No. What happened was I built muscle. And so one time I'm lifting 9 reps, getting it for 9 reps. Second time I'm getting that same weight for 10 reps. What's happened in between? Muscle growth. And so that addition of an extra rep that most people deem as progressive overload is just a sign, a confirmation that muscle has been built. Progressive overload itself does not build muscle. Rather, providing an adequate stimulus via good muscle building principles is what builds muscle. Progressive overload simply shows proof that muscle has been built. Because of this, progressive overload should happen automatically. Progressive overload anxiety now all boils down to a lifter's over-obsession with adding weight or adding reps because they think that's what will build muscle. You probably think that going into the gym and getting one extra rep from last week is what will build you muscle. But what you fail to realize is that you probably understand progressive overload backwards. Rather, it's the fact that muscle has been built that's allowed you to get an additional rep. And so this then raises the question, what builds muscle? Well, providing an adequate muscle building stimulus. That's what builds muscle. So let's talk about what an adequate muscle building stimulus looks like. Adequate muscle building stimulus is just a fancy way of saying just the basics of building muscle. Those being train hard with a good range of motion, keeping the range of motion and the technique the same with every single rep you do, from every single set you do, with every single week that goes by, calorie surplus, making sure that we're choosing exercises that are the best for the muscle we're trying to grow. For example, if we're trying to grow our chest, we're much better off doing a deep barbell bench press as opposed to a super wide grip barbell bench press in which we really arch our back and barely touch only just touch our chest and then come up. And so these are all sort of the fundamentals and the principles and the absolute basics of building muscle. When we do these long enough, that's what's going to build us the muscle. And the addition of that muscle is what allows you to get 1 extra rep, 2 extra reps, 5 extra kilos on the bar. And it's providing an adequate muscle building stimulus week after week, month after month, that will allow progressive overload to happen automatically. Because providing the stimulus will build the muscle, and this new muscle will now be stronger, and you'll be able to add the extra reps and the extra weight. That's what we mean when we say progressive overload is automatic. If you build the muscle, the progressive overload will come because now you have more muscle, stronger muscle. So what's the issue that lifters face? Lifters fail to understand that providing a good stimulus via these important muscle building principles is what builds the muscle. They wrongfully think that adding an extra rep or adding extra weight will build them the muscle. And so they go out seeking extra reps and extra weight in ways that unfortunately sacrifice important muscle building principles. This leads to a worse muscle building stimulus, which ultimately provides them even slower muscle growth than they were looking for. Isn't it crazy how that works? They tried so hard to build muscle that they rushed the process and now build muscle even slower. So the problem is that you think adding an extra rep is what builds you muscle. And so you go to the gym and you do anything you can to get that extra rep. That might mean cutting the range of motion short. That might mean not using the same reps for the entire set. This is something I'm guilty of. Let's say I do a set of 9 and I come into the gym next week and I want to get 10 reps. I'll get my same 9 reps that I got last week. But now when I go for the 10th rep, I won't go as low in the hack squat, or I won't pause it as long in the stretch position, or I won't hold the contracted position as long because I really want that 10th rep. I must get that 10th rep, and getting that 10th rep is what will build me the muscle. But no, Omar, that's the wrong way to view it. If you've provided a good enough stimulus last week, then you would have built enough muscle for you to get that 10th rep, no problem. You understand? And so this brings up another point, and that is that oftentimes we're not going to build enough muscle to see an extra rep week after week after week, or extra weight week after week, week after week. It is totally fine to build, totally fine and totally normal actually, to build enough muscle week to week to just get a half rep. If last week you done 9 reps on the squat and you attempted the 10th, but you couldn't get out the hole at all, like you just got pinned at the bottom, you couldn't get up. But this week you go in, you do that same set of 9 and you attempt the 10th, but you managed to get halfway up. So, you made half a rep gains. That's muscle being built. That half rep is your progressive overload for that week. And so as depressing as it sounds, and this is something that we fail to understand, but we really need to understand as natural lifters, is that progress and building muscle is damn slow. And it's slow to the point where you'll be making half rep progress every week. You'll be making a quarter rep progress every week. And of course, there'll be fluctuations in those weeks, meaning some weeks you'll be able to come in and add a whole rep. Other weeks you'll come in, you'll just get a quarter rep. Other weeks you'll come in and you'll do the exact same weight for the exact same reps as the previous week. But that's totally fine. This is what it's like building muscle as a natural lifter. And this is also why it's important for us to zoom out a little bit. This is something I'm super guilty of. And my problem for the longest time was I'm too zoomed in. I'm too focused on what I'm going to do this session, what I done last session, and what I need to do the next session. I've got like a 3-session view of my entire bodybuilding journey. And so I'm in today's session thinking, yes, must get an extra rep from last week. I do my set, whether I get the rep or not. And then I'm thinking, okay, next week, add an extra rep to that. Or next week, add a bit of weight. But that's too short focused. And as a natural lifter, we just don't progress that quick to be able to add weight every single session or add reps every single session. Beginners can progress that quick because they're so new to training and desensitized. Guys on PEDs can progress that quick, but us natural lifters, which is you, bro, you ain't taking drugs in your life, you're a natural lifter, you're trying to get jacked, you're probably not going to progress that quick to see an entire rep week to week. And so it's totally fine to just see a half rep gain. It's totally fine to just add the smallest fraction of play, like just add a 1.25 in weight as opposed to a big old 10 kilo on there. It's totally fine. And what will help you really come to terms with this slow progress is just zooming out and realizing that you're going to be lifting for ages. And so what's 3 weeks spent at the exact same weight? What's that in the grand scheme of things? Nothing, bro. If that's what your body needs to build muscle, 3 consecutive weeks of lifting the same weight for the same amount of reps, and then eventually on the 4th week, you get an extra rep. If that's how your body operates and that's how your body needs, and that's what your body needs to do, then that's just the game. That is just the game, and there is nothing wrong with that at all. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not lifting wrong. You're not behind in progress. You're not getting overtaken by the competition. You don't need to bump up your calories or your protein. You are good, bro. I promise you, you are good. And so because we've put such a over importance on progressive overload, because we misunderstand what it is, we think progressive overload and getting the extra rep builds the muscle, but as I've just dismantled, that's not the case. But because we put such an over obsession with progressively overloading, we get progressive overload anxiety, in which we think, damn it, I didn't add an extra rep. I didn't build muscle. Damn it, I'm doing something wrong. Or the flip side of that is we try hard, so hard to get the extra rep that, like I said, like in the examples that I gave, we sacrifice form, sacrifice technique, we hype up on pre-workout and start screaming and shouting just for one extra rep and do all these extra things and do a bunch of things that aren't the bread and butter of building muscle, that aren't the absolute basics that must be ticked. We sacrifice all of them just to get an extra rep, just for more weight. And all of this stems from progressive overload anxiety. We have such an over obsession with getting an extra rep that we would do anything for it. We're dying, we're thirsty for that extra rep. We need to realize the extra rep will come automatically. Once the muscle has been built from an adequate training stimulus, from recovering well enough, our body will be ready to give us that extra rep, and then we'll take it. And an extra rep feels like, sorry, let me rephrase that. Getting given an extra rep just feels like this. It feels like doing a set, getting the same amount of reps as previously, but it feeling slightly easier. And then you think, you know what, fuck it, let me go for one more. You go for one more and you get that extra rep. That's the experience of getting an extra rep, you know. See it as if like the gains gods have given you an extra rep. They said, here you are. Now you're ready to add a extra rep. Now you're ready to add 5 kilos on the bar. Here you are. And so, quick side point, this is also why repeating the same weight week after week, but seeing the reps in reserve increase is a sign of muscle growth. So imagine I take 100 kilos and I do that for a set of 10 and it's at 0 reps in reserve, meaning I couldn't have done any more. But then the following week, it's at 0.5 reps in reserve. So maybe I could have got a half rep. And then the following week after that, it's at 1 rep in reserve, meaning I could have gotten a whole entire rep. In those 3 weeks, I done the exact same weight for the exact same reps, but it got easier. So that's that's another sign of building muscle that I just quickly wanted to bring up. And so our solution is that we need to focus on providing the target muscle with a good stimulus every single time we train, regardless of whether that's an extra rep, less reps than last week maybe, or the same amount of reps than last week. As long as we just provide a good stimulus every single time we train, we are good. And I made an entire video talking about how I never have bad sessions, and I'll just quickly summarize it, but obviously check it out, help out the channel, bro. Like, I'm trying to grow and everything. I'll quickly summarize it. I just focus on stimulus. I've stopped caring and detached myself from the logbook, from the weights, from the numbers, and instead I just focus, am I going to take this set to close to failure? Is it going to be a hard set? Am I going to use good range of motion? As long as all those things are yes, 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 tick, 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 then I'm good. Then I have good sessions and good sets every single time. We need to detach ourselves from the logbook and from chasing strength standards, i.e., loads of people think, oh, once I get 4 plates from the hack squat, I have big quads. And so they do anything to get 4 plates on the hack squat, cut range of motion, train, alter the way they descend down. So, they bomb it down into the hole, then come back up, X, Y, Z. And rather, we need to be comfortable using the same weight for the same reps, multiple sessions in a row. So that's been my attempt to simplify and elaborate a bit more on Landon's idea of progressive overload anxiety as I interpret it, as I imagine it. But ultimately, this video kind of comes from a selfish point of view. Selfish how? Selfish in the sense that I wanted to make this video to consolidate my own learning. I wanted to make this video as another opportunity to practice my speaking and my articulation and see if I'm getting better at this whole, stringing sentences together in a coherent manner. And final reason, which just slipped my head. Oh yeah, I needed to tick my creativity box for the day. Simple as that. I have to do something creative every day, whether that's record a video, edit a video, make a thumbnail, something, or else I go mad. And I just realized I'm rocking the Jesus trim today. Yeah, guys, I ain't had the hair out in a minute. It's usually tied up, but I thought straight out the shower, I might as well rock this while it's still light outside and I can get this video done. So look, any additions to this video, anything you think I missed, please comment down below. With that said, if I'm on your screen right now, then I've kept your interest somehow. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, bro. All of Landon's links and everything will be down below as well. And see you in the next one in a bit.